Hello? Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Doing great.
Well, this is Sheila. I never really know you call in, but I just pick up. Uh,
Yeah, you just call. You can just call. Yes. Uh,
I'll give you a call in.
wait a second. I'm going to ask something. Yeah, you can call.
Who's next? You know, hip hop Harry. Who's
You
next?
next? She's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? He next.
When we vote, it gives us vote, 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 vote. Who's next? You know, hip hop Harry. Who's next?
You next? She's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? He next.
When we vote, it gives us a voice. We come to an agreement and make a choice. The first time you do it is around your fam. To decide what you eat, we have a show of hands. Think about school, you vote for class pres. The votes help shape the rules, and that's fresh. So make sure you tell your parents, go find them. And if they don't remember, you're gonna help remind them to vote, vote, vote. I need you to vote, vote, vote. We need you to vote, vote, vote. Everybody just vote, vote, vote. Who's next?
You next? She's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? He next.
When you turn 18, you get to vote for changes that impact communities and help the nation. Cause when you're an adult, you have to be responsible. Your votes are important for removing any obstacles. We vote for folks with ideals we trust, with somebody with the same thoughts on life as us. So when the time comes, make a mental note. I would never tell you who to vote for, but it's important you vote, vote, vote. Come on and just vote, vote, vote. It's cool when you vote, vote, vote. Everybody just vote, vote, vote. Who's next?
Who's next? You next? She's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next?
We next. You can vote for family or vote for school. Just to have the opportunity to vote is cool. We got young folks, old folks, all types of people. Cause when it comes to voting, our voices are equal. And that equality wasn't overnight. People fought the good fight to get voting rights. We've come a long way and it only gets better on election day is when we all get together and vote, 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 vote.
Hello. 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 Good evening. Hello. Hello. Good evening.
Yes, hi. Hello, Ralph.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
What now? You are at the radio, Primitive FM. We are happy to have you tonight, where all the Haitian community and people in Newark is listening to you right now. Can you tell the community who you are? And before we gonna start asking you some questions.
Oh, yes. That's great. Listen, so thank you for having me on this show this evening. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. My name is Sheila Montague, and currently I'm running for mayor here in the city of Newark. I'm actually here right now with a member of my team whose name is Linda Mumbron. She is the executive of the committee for the Haitian Community Outreach.
Okay.
And I'd like you to meet her this evening as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have time to meet her. That's great. Tonight, so we are going to talk. You already said who you are. So can you explain to the community what is your agenda for Newark? What make you run for mayor?
Oh, okay, great. So one of the biggest motivations in, just getting me to run for mayor of the city of Newark is that there is a lot of need for help and support amongst the people of Newark. We have a huge variety of people here that live in the city of Newark, but one thing that's very common is the need for supplemental resources, the need for housing, the need for just overall support. And only when we come together as a collective can we make sure that the community has those needs met. And as a community servant, that is the job of a mayor and a council, to serve the people. So here in the city of Newark, we have just the opposite, I feel, that is going on. And it's like the people are almost supposed to serve the administration. And I think we need to change the lens on how we see our politics here in the city of Newark, where, the people who are in charge are working for the people and not the other way around. So amongst the resources, right, because there are a few other issues, crime, we have to have people who are in charge who can understand exactly what's going on with the crime so that they can really create a pilot program to significantly decrease the crime so that we can increase our atmosphere, our quality of life. And last but not least, right, all of this starts with the intervention into the educational system we have here. It's a multiple system of private schools, public schools, charter schools, and we want to just make sure that we unilaterally start implementing best practices so that all of our schools are, responsible for educating the children adequately so that they'll have the tools that they need to move on and become productive and good citizens here in the city of Newark.
Okay, that's great. Actually, you said, I hear you, the community hear you. Can you tell us, like at this school system, I know you are a teacher, what do you want to change at the school system?
Okay, great. That's a great question. So, just being a 22-year educator, as well as a college professor at Essex County College for approximately 6 years, one of the things that I want to see changed is resources. Again, when I spoke earlier about this, it being unilateral, that means that in certain wards, they have access to resources that we don't have here in certain other wards. And it is what I would say, it's segregated in many instances in terms of the population of students. Certain cultures go to certain schools, are known to go to certain schools, where I think that they need to be, all of the students need to be exposed to everybody, not just their own, but to everybody, right? Because we want to be an inclusive community, right? Inclusive of everyone. We have a beautiful community of people coming here from all around the world, and segregation is something that we don't support. The next thing in terms of academia is right now our students are scoring 9% on math in Newark Public Schools and 11% in literacy and language arts. And that is just dismal. And there's a lot that we can do to bring those scores up. And right now they're putting the responsibility on COVID, but it's not just COVID. No one sinks that low because of a pandemic. There's a real issue in our schools when it comes to students being educated. We are aware that we have some problems in our community with homes, but there must be a balance where we go back and recreate when teachers and parents are working together and not against each other, and creating those well-rounded students and individuals, like I said again, that are going to feed our citizenry here in the city of Newark, as well as the colleges. Being a college town, there's lots that we can do to have our colleges working alongside our public and charter schools, again, to help establish best practices and just assess students, and where they are, and to meet them there where they are. Different students, of course, right? It goes without being said, need different things. So in order to make sure that we address those needs, it just takes us coming together as a community to work collectively, and that's for the whole child, inclusive of their parent, which makes the programs like you have, Pastor Ralph, very important to our community. That you're making sure that they have food, and not just any food, but healthy food, that, just helps establish healthy minds, bodies, hearts, and souls. So we want to, mimic some of the things that I see you're doing in the community and try to support you in what it is that you're doing to the best of our ability.
That's great. That's great. I want to tell you, is not me. It's the Popular Foundation for Community Development. Is an organization. We are serving the Essex and Union County. We are stationed right now in Newark. We've been serving Newark since 2017. I want to tell you, we are not only giving food, we're giving free computer classes, yes, and we have planned to implant a community center. But I want to ask you a question. Before,
Sure.
at the city of Newark, at the high school, there was evening school for adult, for people coming to learn. There was computer class. There was English ESL. There was at night time. But right now, it's been couple years we don't have. Will you come back with those programs in Newark?
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Those are essential programs to build in the very fabric of our city. Our people are parts to a whole. So unless we, again, just address those essential needs of our people and of our families, we're not going to have the city that, we love and, can be proud of. So yes, programs like evening classes, programs like us working together collaboratively with colleges to make sure that if parents want to go beyond getting a GED, that they can get college credits as well. There are other towns that I've seen this be very productive in, where they even had meetings in classes within the city hall of the cities. And schools came in to educate. They've done college credits. And a lot of parents went on to get their degrees and to move on to establish really good jobs for themselves. These are things that could be done, but you have to have an administration that is committed to doing it, that is committing to developing the people in that particular town and city. And this doesn't just happen happenstance. You have to look at what best practices are. You have to examine, even nationally, what are some programs that are working, what are some that are not working, and we want to adopt those to build our community up. So yes, work programs, we want to do that. We want to extend what you're doing with the computers. Almost everything is being done on a computer now. Even some newspapers you can only get almost on the internet. So we want to make sure that people have access. I heard something recently that we were supposed to be getting. Well, I've been hearing this for some years now, and it hasn't happened yet. But they're saying that we're supposed to have access to Wi-Fi in the city of Newark, and it's supposed to be free. So I don't know if that's going to come down the pipe in the next few weeks. But again, I've been hearing it over the last 8 years, which lets me know that we have access to have that happen here. But we, again, have to prioritize making sure that we do that. We can't have people in the dark when it comes to information. It's ever changing. And, to keep people in the loop, that's what we're going to have to do. So definitely programs that increase academia, programs even that increase the trade. Currently, I'm supporting a school board candidate who he's a dad. He has 5 children, 3 young sons, and he's very much concerned about trades. I feel that in the country of America, it's very important to have a piece of paper such as a degree, right, in something, but equally it's important to have a trade, something that you can do with your hands to make money, right? Because if anything happens and we see layoffs, how we saw it in the pandemic, right? People are still able to work and provide for themselves and their families so that they don't go under. You understand, if that makes sense? And once we can do those things, we'll have a more stable community than we have right now, and especially in light of any unforeseeable economic tragedies that would potentially come our way.
That's something in Newark I identify myself, especially at the public safety. At the public safety, when the young people going to apply to go to the police, but there's something I don't understand. I don't know why that happened. Even if the young people in Newark, they go and apply, but even if they pass all the tests, but there's something really bipartisan. Bipartisan in Newark. If you don't vote, if you don't, who not controlling by the mayor or by the government, you're not going to be able to get a job at the police at the police. So what will you do to make the police doing their job, especially for young people to enter as a police officer, or and what will you do to decrease crime and not?
Okay, great. So that was, I guess, like sort of a three-pronged question. So I'll try to go in order. If I neglect to respond to anything in particular, just let me know. Starting with the police, I'm absolutely in agreement that we should have more Native Newarkers as police officers here. Right now, they're being pulled from other nearby places such as Belleville, Kearney. I think the reason for that is that our children, not that they weren't be interested in the opportunity at becoming officers here in the city, however, they're not getting the information. Oftentimes, the information is disseminated to the guidance counselors in the school, but the guidance counselors are so busy doing work that is actually not in their job description, right? Breaking up fights, holding down the cafeterias because they don't have enough teachers, and they just do a lot of work that is not inclusive of, like I said again, their job description. So those opportunities that come to them, whether they come via email, flyer, or whatever, they don't even get an opportunity to look at them, much less, like I said, disseminate that information to students that it could actually save and change their entire lives, you know? So that's one thing that I would make sure that I did, was to just create a better process of getting information out, necessary information in a timely fashion. And it's really not hard to do. We just have to, double down on what's going on with the school situation. And even though the mayor says that he doesn't have anything to do with public schools, it just doesn't ring true when he runs the school board election with only his candidates that win year after year after year, because school board elections happen every year. So he runs those school board candidates. They have a say in terms of contracts, where they're going, and et cetera. However, when it comes to the actual accountability of educating the student or making sure that the school lunches are what they're supposed to be, or more importantly and more specific to your question, and making sure that they're getting information about jobs, colleges, and police, right, and applications and different things of that nature, we're missing the mark right now. And so the way that we do that is to just closely monitor exactly what's going on. And as mayor, I'll make sure I have an educational officer who's impactful and very effective in terms of making sure that that happens. And once we get our school systems rolling how they're supposed to be rolling, that's going to decrease crime automatically. A lot of the crime that we have right now is two main reasons. And I don't buy into when people say it's about the family. It's not just about the family, because kids could come to school, and if they're learning properly, they're learning to make their own decisions as, you know, their own independent human beings. So I think what happens is, with the police, they have a curriculum that currently is being implemented in the East Ward, but in wards like the South Ward of Newark, as well as the West Ward, where they have the most shooting, homicides, and crime occurring, they don't have that curriculum implemented into those schools. So we have to make sure that they do have that curriculum so that they understand who the police are before they run into them. And they also have to be held accountable within the school system. Right now, it's chaos. I don't care what school you're going to. Most of them, and it's inclusive of any and all schools. It's not just secluded to public schools or the private sector. Right now, it's a lot of fighting, and they're blaming it on the social emotional health, you know, from the pandemic. But it's not that. The schools are not set up to have the students organized and learn in a way that the learning environment can be as safe as it needs to be. And that's because nobody's really doing the legitimate oversight on what's happening. You know, people are in positions, and once they win an election, they're getting ready for the next election instead of prioritizing what's going on in our schools, because what's going on in our schools is actually ground zero for our community, and that strongly dictates the level of crime. Currently, we have students in the schools not knowing how to write cursive. It's not in the curriculum anymore. We have a lot of students matriculating from the school system, and once they come out of the school system, they don't have the skill set or the comprehension to actually hold down a job. They know that they need a job, and in their minds they'll say that they want a job, but they haven't adequately equated having a job means that you have some type of skill that you're going to trade to be compensated so that, you could, take care of yourself. And so that becomes a problem because you need money to eat, you need money to live. And that, and once you're in poverty, right, so poverty and crime goes hand in hand. And then if you factor in the situation we're having with housing, and I won't delve too deep into that in case I'm, getting into one of your next questions. With the housing situation, it's a lot of talk about affordable housing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's purposely designed to make people think that is the same thing as low income housing, and they're just not the same thing. They're two different things. Low income housing, meaning that according to your income, this is something that you can afford. $2,000 could be affordable housing, but who is that affordable for? Definitely not students and what becomes adults that have families now from a school system that hasn't adequately, developed them into this world that we're living in right now. And with so many jobs becoming automated, it's time again, to look at restructuring our city to a place that can accommodate people who need jobs, right, and who need to make a living wage as just opposed to minimum wage. So, we have a lot going on. And then nationally, right, it's the inflation. So, like I said, these are things that we have to monitor. And as leadership here in the city of Newark, I plan not to only monitor it, but also, like I said, have a team to make sure we're not only assessing the budget, but we're also making projections that are going to impact us on a national basis sooner or later here on a local level. And that's why it's important for me also, like I said earlier, to have a person on my team right from the beginning who is of Haitian descent, very smart, knowledgeable young lady, to make sure that we have everything we need in terms of communication, information, and resources for every group here in the city of Newark.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to ask you a question about the Haitian community. I am a young leader at the Haitian community. I've been here and listening, watching, and the actual mayor promise the Haitian community, if they vote for him, he will do a lot of things to the Haitian community, like he does for other community. Since 2014, the Haitian community been voting for the actual mayor in Newark, but the Haitian community never get nothing. So you, if you win as the mayor in Newark, what will you do for the Haitian community to make them not voting for this? What you are promised to them, not voting for the actual mayor, but to vote for you, or you can explain what you are going to do, what you have, what plan do you have for the Haitian community?
Okay, so so I appreciate the question, but I do just want to offer some clarity that it's not only the Haitian community that feels like that. I think the
yeah?
Island community, the African American community, like everyone right now, the Hispanic, everybody feels like the current administration has made promises that have been unkept. So what I want to do differently, right, is I want to establish right from the beginning a relationship with every community, right? Because all people are important. And what I want to do is make sure like that I have right now a team that I try my best to have everybody that's represented, to make sure that we assess what the needs are. For example, to your question specifically, what is there that is needed in the Haitian community, and make sure that you guys get it at the end of the day, no matter what those are. And I'm assuming, right, and you could correct me or add in where necessary, that those things are jobs, right, resources, and whatever else maybe, on the list that the Haitian community would need. But I think that if we are working together, that we can make sure that we have those things. And if it's okay, I would like, like I said, my coordinator, to just say a couple of words in terms of that, because we've been working together on a couple of things. Linda?
Hey, you speak Creole?
Yes.
She speak Creole?
Oui, me parle Creole.
Oh, comment est?
Là, oui.
Ok, et où c'est qui est?
Linda Monboin.
Oh, Linda Monboin.
Oui.
Oh, ok. Et je connais la famille Monboin, je ne connais pas si Monboin me connaît, si c'est papa, je ne connais pas.
Et savez Monboin? Oui, papa, moi.
Wow. Dynamic, man. Ok, et bon, vous faites partie et comité Sheila. Et je crois que vous connaissez besoin communauté haïtienne et y a tant d'autres là qu'on y a. Et communauté haïtienne nan yo te voté Rasbaka te pour mettre pour te bay un building et puis avec assistance pour te faire community center depuis 2017, il fait premier mandat, deuxième mandat, mais gen un petit groupe haïtien qui supporte monsieur mais communauté haïtienne n'a pas jamais joindre rien et qui ça ou capable dit avec communauté haïtienne pour transmettre message là et avec communauté haïtienne qui ça ou ka dit et puis pour yo même pour communauté haïtienne capable et voter pour Sheila.
Ça cap cause pour voter pour Sheila état haïtien et un monde qui mettait dans mind que faut gen changement dans la communauté et puis et pas seulement pour changer en position mais pour aider la communauté. Problème qui est ça, nous discuter en série de bagages, mais ça qui est important et qui ça nous a fait pour résoudre problème qui dans la communauté. Period. Et puis ça qui est important et l'autre communauté yo cap voter yo pas ouais yo. Ça veut dire que moun yo pas comprendre communauté haïtienne non étant pour baraque, équipe baraque là. Il y a un peu de monde qui ne pas comprendre parce que et pas haïtien yo yé. So tout le monde pas senti yo gen même besoin. Mais ça nous n'a essayé exprimer et tout le monde t'a supposé être public joindre ça yo t'a supposé joindre ça veut dire si on peut mettre fait ça veut dire faut bay moun yo ça yo besoin mais raison moi là et pour chita dans table pour recevoir besoin yo pour nous créer solution pour problème communauté yo.
OK, d'accord parce que et si vous recevez ou quand représenter Sheila alors ça qui est capable dire parce que communauté haïtienne nan li pas assister, mais pourtant en pile haïtien voter et chaque année yo voter et gen moun qui un groupe moun qui toujours a supporter et monsieur mais communauté haïtienne n'a pas rien ou bien son petit groupe moun et qui joignent mais alors besoin pour t'a dit et pour t'a ba trois raisons pour qui ça communauté haïtienne et de voter pour Sheila?
Yo, communauté haïtienne ta supposé voter pour Sheila, c'est parce que li campé pour éducation. C'est parce que problème qui gagne avec éducation dans NEWARK, pas gagné encore qui l'aime même qui t'a supposé pour tout le monde bénéficier. Pas t'a supposé gagner une instance côté en zone gagner gens yo montrer mon éducation et puis l'autre zone là yo pas joindre éducation en même genre. So ça qui est important et pour balancer éducation pour tout le monde joindre. Pas vrai? Okay, but my répéter par Sheila pour qu'à comprendre. So what I'm explaining is that he's asking basically what's 3 reasons because he feels like the Haitian community has been made promises that haven't been kept.
Right.
And to basically name 3 reasons why we should vote for you. So I was just explaining the first key point, which was education, how we should even out the playing field with education so we don't have to worry about segregating the education system. That way everybody has the quality education we deserve. Secondly, deuxième raison, nous besoin voter pour Sheila, c'est parce que li pas juger moun et puis li accepter tout monde. Ça veut dire tout monde gagne voix. So I'm explaining that everyone has a voice. So there's not going to be an instance where a certain community should feel that they are not being heard or they should feel sent to the wayside because there's a big chunk of the Haitian community that's voting, but they're not receiving any results. So these are our homeowners.
Right.
So tax-paying citizens that aren't getting what they're supposed to get out of their votes. So they want to know, since nothing has been done in all this time, what we can do.
Also let them know another reason why is because, and I guess he can hear me himself, Pastor Ralph, that, you don't know what I'm going to do. I can only say what I'm going to do. But ultimately, we already know what Raj Barack is going to do, and that's not nothing for any community because currently where he stands is, in arena of self-aggrandizement, right? Looking out for himself, his friends, and his family. And there just hasn't been a wide outreach for support and services. And that's for all of our communities. And that's what we wish to change together in the city of Newark.
Do you know, what I like about you?
What?
We've been serving the NEWARK community since 2017. Let's say 2017.
Right.
We never see Rock Baraka to come to visit us. We invite him in our program. He didn't show off. He didn't answer.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't answer. We apply for a community city home when the application or the application come to his office, everything stop. The Haitian, because we represent the Haitian community. But we appreciate something. We can say you will be a model of everyone because you pass by at our food pantry. You help us.
Right.
We talk to us. That's really, we appreciate that. Even if you're not a mayor yet, but you still standing. This morning, I heard you. You were talking to someone. I think someone who died, and you were crying. That's called for someone who has a heart. But I see it. I see that in people. And Noah can make history because you are a woman, and you have a lot of knowledge. We happy about that. Like I said, you can give like 3 reasons. She said education. Give 3 reasons that the Haitian community must vote for you, and to take that that guy who doesn't have no heart at the city hall.
It's absolutely true. And I can't even say it any clearer than what you just said. it's the no heart, it's the non-caring, it's the lack of humanism in terms of
Okay.
just in your leadership. So yeah, definitely, we want to create an environment, right, of caring, right, an environment of, like you said, the best, just like mother of the community. We need that now,
Yes.
and we understand that there's a differentiation, right, between the business aspects of politics, right, and budgets and, the appropriation of dollars and, with gentrification in the city, right? But we have to move in a way that we establish balance between creating needed development in our city and making sure that the people here are the priority, over everything. So those developments are coming here. We have to quiz them on what they're going to do for everyone here, in terms of jobs, in terms of education, in terms of whatever they can give, resources for rooms in their establishment where community groups might want to meet, etc. But definitely, I was shocked to hear that there's not a community center for the Haitian community, and that is definitely something that we want to get started with right from the beginning. And that's why, like I said, I was conscious of that. That's why, Linda was already a part of the group, because she does represent this community. And she's going to make sure that we're working together collaboratively to get the essentials that you need, and that you can count on.
That's great. That's great. That's very important. Earlier, so I have to let you go. Earlier, you were talking about housing. A lot of people in Newark, there's some people who's sleeping in the street who doesn't have no house. And then, what will you do for the senior citizen in Newark who can't afford a house?
Well, what I want to do is I want to get back to the concept of low-income housing. Just recently, if you notice, the mayor knocked down South Borton, and this was after getting millions upon millions of dollars of federal money for housing. And what he decided to do with that money, some of it, was to develop shelters. Shelters is not a house for people. And the shelters that is being created, the proper oversight is not established. So the shelter, for example, that's located on Sussex Avenue, it's become a haven for crime. So they're robbing people in there, taking people's things, fighting. It's become a very dangerous place, whereas a lot of the people who were living there are opting to live out in the street as opposed to being there. So the new one that just that came up not too far, not even a mile from here where we are now, we don't see any difference in terms of oversight, in terms of managerial presence. It's just, it's a shelter. And shelters, again, are not homes. I believe that a home, right, is the common right of a human being. And I think before all of these shelters that we're building, it's like you're almost in a consensus with establishing a higher level of homelessness. And I think that's headed in the wrong direction. We don't want to establish more shelters. We want to establish more homes and make sure that we establish the process for our citizens without addresses to acquire homes. And that is on the forefront of the agenda here when it comes to housing in the city of Newark. It has to be. We can't do anything else. So home ownership is just number one on that agenda.
That's great. That's great. If you have anything to say at last, so we can close the interview, what you are going to say, so we can end.
Yeah. So, I'm just asking again. My name is Sheila Montague, and I'm just asking for the support to make this city the great city that I know that we can be. A city that right now has been under the occupancy of neglect for far too long, for people who have, thought about themselves and put money and materialistic things before the needs and wants of the people, who have put their own agenda before the agenda of the people. And the people should be heard. The people's voice should be heard. And those resources and just everything that the people need, that has to be the priority over anybody that's even considering coming here to Newark to set up shop for any business or whatever. And just last but not least, we need to build our corridors. And I know that you give out food over on Bergen Street, and that's one of the main corridors that has been severely neglected over this period of last 8 years since 2014. The only store that's making like real money on that entire strip is the funeral home, and we need to change that immediately. So please, as you cast your vote on May 10th, please take me into strong consideration, or else we're going to have more of the same. We're going to continue to have escalating homelessness. We're going to continue to have decrease in jobs. We're going to decrease having people from having adequate health care because of it. And we can't afford another 4 years of Mayor Raj J. Baraka.
Okay, thank you. We are happy to have you tonight. I don't know if your Haitian representative will.
Yes, my friend, yes.
Okay. Bakone,
Voilà.
si ou gen yon lot bagay pou di, bakone si se sel ou menm ki nan tim ni a mwen ankouraje ou pou kapap chache lot jen. E pa lot gran moun nan, parce yon pil gran moun yo, pa telman bagay pou jwen avek le jen, e nou menm nou pretou pou nou chita ansam ave ou, avec l'autre jeune et qui habite, il y a pile jeune qui habite dans NEWARK pour nous faire un team, comprendre, parce que nous connaissons qu'il y a une jeunesse, nous connaissons le système, nous connaissons pile bagaille nous qu'a fait et nous avons essayé nous-mêmes pour nous faire rejoindre avec l'autre jeune et ou même pour chercher lui, pour nous capables de faire une force, comprendre, et pour nous capables de camper, pour nous capables d'aider la communauté haïtienne. La communauté haïtienne a pile besoin, il besoin pile aide. C'est une raison nous avons une organisation qui a travail, mais hélas et politique moun qui a fait politique yo moun qui a représenté communauté haïtienne nan yo pas aimer communauté haïtienne nan, c'est intérêt personnel, their own interest they are working on. But qui dernier bagay capable di et pour communauté haïtienne nan et capable et à voter pour Sheila.
Ça qui est important avec Sheila qui compréhension et puis il comprend. Ça veut dire que n'importe ça ou demander à least ou gon côté pour venir avec problème yo et pour gon monde qui gagne tout ça en dedans pour résoudre problème yo.
Eh bien,
problème yo gen grande importance, so ça veut dire que la essayer chercher solution pour aider tout le monde et spécialement communauté haïtienne qui tout le monde continue pour composer yo ba nous vague avec mademoiselle et pas vague pour nous. Yo monde nous gon chance.
Voilà.
So pour chance ça avec Sheila, tu vois, donc à compter la fait plus fort passer monde qui te passé devant lui.
Okay, I can see that m'ka wè ça. Et bien, nous te content nous te gagnon à soya ou c'est madame Momwe.
Oui.
Alors, eh bien, OK. Et bien, nous va gagner pour nous rencontrer, pour nous chita, pour nous parler. Et alors voir faire me sentir où sont jeunes et puis nous remettre travailler avec jeunes pas même avec grand moun plus éclairé et plus là pour capable plus aider chercher intérêt l'autre monde. Alors c'est un plaisir de te gagner et nous dire bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Bien content. Souhaite nous ouais tantôt.
Et bien OK, d'accord.
OK.
OK, bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Pastor Val.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Vote, 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 vote. Vote, 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 vote.
Who's next?
You know. Vote, 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 vote. Vote, 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 vote. Vote, 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 vote. Vote, 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 vote. us a voice. We come to an agreement and make a choice. The first time you do it is around your fam. To decide what you eat, we have a show of hands. Think about school, you vote for class pres. The votes help shape the rules, and that's fresh. So make sure you tell your parents, go find them. And if they don't remember, you're gonna help remind them to vote, vote, vote. I need you to vote, vote, vote. We need you to vote, vote, vote. Everybody just vote, vote, vote. Who's next?
You next? He's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? We next.
When you turn 18, you get to vote for changes that impact communities and help the nation. Cause when you're an adult, you have to be responsible. Your votes are important for removing any obstacles. We vote for folks with ideals we trust. With some vote, 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 vote.
Who's next?
You know, hip hop Harry. Who's next?
You next? He's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? We next.
When we vote, it gives us a voice. We come to an agreement and make a choice. The first time you do it is around your fam. To decide what you eat, we have a show of hands. Think about school, you vote for class pres. The votes help shape the rules, and that's fresh. So make sure you tell your parents, go find them. And if they don't remember, you're gonna help remind them to vote, vote, vote. I need you to vote, vote, vote. We need you to vote, vote, vote. Everybody just vote, vote, vote. Who's next?
You next? He's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? We next.
When you turn 18, you get to vote for changes that impact communities and help the nation. Cause when you're an adult, you have to be responsible. Your votes are important for removing any obstacles. We vote for folks with ideals we trust. With somebody with the same thoughts on life as us. So when the time comes, make a mental note. I would never tell you who to vote for, but it's important you vote, vote, vote. Come on and just vote, vote, vote. It's cool when you vote, vote, vote. Everybody just vote, vote, vote. Who's next?
Who's next? You next? He's next. He's next. Who's next? I'm next. You next? We next.
You can vote for family or vote for school. Just to have the opportunity to vote is cool. We got young folks, old folks, all types of people. Cause when it comes to voting, our voices are equal. And that equality wasn't overnight. People fought the good fight to get voting rights. We've come a long way and it only gets better on election